Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Willie G and Rhys.
G'day, guys.
And today we have the famous...
Infamous, mate.
Infamous. I did do a Google search, to be honest, and apparently people like you.
Yeah, some of them.
You know, I noticed your reviews, and I'm just going to pull a few of them up. Actually, there was one bloke about 8 years ago, Shitty.
Yes.
But aside from that,
yes,
they were all like thumbs up. He kept my license. But what the theme was in the reviews was I face a serious consequence, and you, particularly as a rider, you understand more about how the laws applied to a bike. But secondly, you were calm, and they were shitting themselves, but you were calm, and you got into the case technically and, won the case. And so there was lots of reviews of that. So I thought, we're going to talk to this bloke. So here we are. So tell us about yourself.
Well, I basically was born in England, and I spent a period of time there, and then Sri Lanka, then New Zealand, and I've been here since 1977. Did law here at Macquarie University, 5-year double degree.
So you're smart then?
Not that smart. You've got to work hard. No. And basically I started working as a lawyer back in 1985.
And what was your first case?
Oh, God. I couldn't even tell you what my first
this
case
guy
was.
worked for God. No, you're serious. You take on the big ones.
Yeah. The big one.
Yeah.
No. It's I've done so many different cases.
So how did you get into... And look, you do traffic as well as criminal. Yeah.
Yep.
And you woke up one morning and go, this is bullshit, I'm going to start looking after these people? Or how'd that all happen?
It basically started... I'd worked in mid-sized law firms for a period of time, and then I went out on my own in around 1996, 97, basically doing a lot of litigation up and down the coast. And at the same time, I used to ride motorbikes. I started riding motorbikes when I was 15 in New Zealand.
Well, that's definitely something we need to tease out.
Because in New Zealand, you could get your license at 15.
Yeah.
And, rode bikes, fell off bikes, got hit by cars, did all the usual things you do when you're young. And then when I got here, for a period of time, I was just playing around and then decided to get back into bikes. And I was up and down the old road quite a bit. And realistically, I discovered that there was less enjoyment in the rides because of all the things you could fall foul of.
I actually just saw one of your posts. I was doing a bit of research this morning, and that was one of the ones where you were introducing yourself.
Yes.
And you're saying that you've been using this old road for such a long time, and you can actually see the change over time because of the over-policing and the victimisation of a lot of riders.
Yes, and look, I think the difficulty is that if you're not enjoying it, why put the leathers on?
Yeah.
And I was living in the city. I was living in Balmain, and I used to ride every day. And I'd come up, if I finished court early, I'd hop on the bike and go for a ride. And it just got to that point where you just had to think about it. And we used to get pulled up all the time. If you're on a bike, you got pulled up. If you're on a sports bike, you definitely got pulled up. And
Well, have they ever pulled you up and gone, oh, this bloke?
Not really. No, look, in general, I have a very good relationship with the cops. By and large, they've got a job to do. I've got a job to do. And we all take it on that basis. It's not, we don't take it personally. They have to do their job hard. I've got to do my job hard, and however that works. So there's no personal thing about it. But every now and then you will get someone who takes it personal. And then, you're going to get pulled up.
I think that's what we were talking about earlier, is that when we have been pulled up, because yes, we have been, having the attitude is that the cops are just doing their job and it's a fair cop. But we were talking about the times where, and I'm sure this is a lot of what your cases are around, is that it wasn't fair, or that there was, a bias or something that wasn't
There
legit.
is a bias, especially in relation to sports bikes and the old road, for example, or the Oxley Highway. Yes, there is. Some of it people bring on themselves. And you find that when it comes to situations of people videoing themselves, putting it on social media and all of that stuff, you'd be
not too smart, are they?
No, you'd be surprised at how
Here am I,
stupid.
breaking the law.
Yeah, well, it just... I've had cases where guys have videoed themselves all day and coming up alongside people, cops bust them, then they go and interview everybody else who's been...
That they've caught on the GoPro footage.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard of that.
And, and that does happen. I've had cases where guys are doing crazy things and they're looking at serious jail time. So this is where it's not just a minor matter. Mm-hmm. Traffic matters really do border on serious criminal law. As I said to you before, if you're looking at a drive manner dangerous cause death, you're looking at 10 years jail, up to 10 years jail. So nothing is easy in this particular game because a lot of it is based on perceptions. And a lot of evidence is based on perceptions. Oh, yes, the bike was loud, so people think it's going fast, for example.
Well, that's a Harley. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Can't go that fast.
Yeah, that fast. How fast can it go? Chuck them the keys if you can get this over the limit, mate. Let me know. Yeah.
So, yes, that's the scenario.
We're going to talk about Simon's case in a minute. But before we do, mate, you're a lawyer, you got the jacket, which is pretty impressive.
It is.
Dead set, if he had turned up anything less, I'm going, he's not a real lawyer. Right? But he's got the jacket, so I'm pretty impressed with that. And what I liked before is we were talking and you just looked at your phone and said, sorry, I've got to take this. I fucking love that. Yeah. I want that bloke on my team when I'm in trouble, right? And I was impressed. I was a little... No, I wasn't offended. But, what motorbikes, what toys have you got?
Well, I've had a lot of bikes. I just sold an Aprilia Tuono factory. Yeah. And I haven't decided what I'm going to buy.
So between bikes?
Between bikes.
So
I've had everything from R1s, race R1s, Kawasaki ZX-10Rs, Hayabusas,
So what's
Ducatis.
on the short list? What's on the short list for your next bike?
I sold a Ducati 1098S. And
I reckon he wants a dyno.
Yeah, yes, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But I don't know at the moment, and the reason I don't know is that I'm finding that as I'm getting older, I'm shrinking.
Yeah.
Right? So the bikes I used to be able to ride, like the R1s and ZX-10Rs and the Ducatis, I'm finding that...
On the tippy toes.
I'm on my tippy toes now, which I never was. And driving from Sydney to get to a riding road is a real...
stop and start.
Stop and start, and you've got to keep an eye out. Is that pothole going to throw you under or whatever it is? So, to be honest, I haven't thought about it. I wouldn't mind one of the MV Agustas, but I'm not sure. I had an MV before, but haven't made up my mind yet.
Right. So, aside from, you were in a bit of a toy today.
Yes.
What do you got? What else? What other toys have you got?
Not a lot. I used to have a lot of them. I've currently got the Corvette, which is the latest one. And
I've got the latest one.
Yeah, and I've got a C63 Merc.
Oh.
But basically, I do a lot of kilometres all over the country, so I'm in cars all the time.
So the Merc's the daily drive?
Merc and the Corvette.
And the Vet?
Yeah.
So if you're going to do those Ks, be comfy.
So that... all I can say is, did Simon Jones help you pay for that Corvette?
I guess he would wish he had. I would wish he had.
Bloody impressive car, to be honest.
Thank you.
You should have parked it in my driveway and thrown me the keys. And said,
I was worried I wouldn't get up the driveway.
Never throw this man your keys.
There's another story in that. So what I've got from either people that have worked with you or what I've read about you is that you got your shit together, and that's Greek speak. And but if you want someone to look at what's going on and make sure you're fairly dealt with, you're the man. Right, that's what I've got. Is that how you asked me to say? No, you didn't.
I didn't pay you for that.
No, but that's your reputation.
Yeah, look, it's a matter that I can put myself in the shoes of my clients. Because I ride, I drive, and, I've been around a long time. And I did a lot of things before I decided to study law. I've worked in all sorts of jobs. So I can, I guess, empathise with what people go through. The other difficulty is that nowadays you can suffer some very, very serious consequences. And, for example, I do large truck accidents where people are killed and stuff. And the whole situation is, A, you're looking at jail time in a lot of situations. But B, people think, oh, well, yes, you'll get disqualified for this or you just get disqualified for that. Now, if you get disqualified for a manner dangerous, automatic period is 3 years off the road. Minimum is 12 months. Now, manner dangerous can include speed dangerous. So if you get done for a high speed, you're looking at that potential loss of licence. If you drive for a living, you're screwed. You're basically losing. And people don't think about that, you know. They'll impose a penalty and they don't think about the fact that you will potentially lose your house.
So give us a summary on Simon's case. And, you know, Simon's had an interesting case, and I've got a front row seat to it to some degree, but give us the summary of your version, and then why it was so important to
Well,
engage
essentially, you have a situation, and it's not unusual, right? You have a situation where you're riding along, you're pulled over by police, and I've had worse situations where people have virtually been run off the road, then slammed on the bonnet, right? And you have a situation where somebody goes, what's this about? Now, in fairness, officers get ramped up in a pursuit and they rock up. So they're all full of adrenaline. In that situation, you find you're riding along, you know nothing's going on, and then suddenly, bang,
And then you see
0 to 100.
Yeah.
All right? And you've got somebody who is cranky because they think you're doing a runner. Now, in those sorts of situations, it's when you break down the case, when you start to analyse the things, is when you can figure it out. So in this particular case, riding along, going up to Wattagan State Forest, having been through Kulnara, maybe 10k, 15k over the speed limit, just cruising. All right, speeding ticket, right? But all of a sudden, you're being told, police pursuit. Now under Sky's law, you're looking at jail.
Yeah.
Manner dangerous. Over 45 speed. So you're looking at a serious raft of charges.
Now, how much of all those last three things were real?
Well, the perception at the time the officer had was real to him because of the pursuit.
So what I'd like to know is that when Simon was giving you the quick brief of this is what's happened, are you somebody that we can engage to look, what was your first go-to? What questions did you think, okay, I need to understand this and this and this?
I generally don't ask too much. I want to look at the evidence fresh and make an assessment of that evidence. Because again, everything is based on people's perceptions. Right? So I get a police fact sheet, which will contain what the police are alleging, essentially. So that's my first port of call in those sorts of matters. Then often I'll go to the site. Or before that, I'll have a look at the in-car video. Now, in this particular case, it showed a number of things, and then also the body worn. So in this particular case, it shows a number of things. And one of the things was that Simon went past, and it was just straightforward. You couldn't tell that he was going quicker, but obviously he was going a little bit quicker than the speed limit. And then the police officer decides to do a 3-point turn between two corners. It wasn't a 3-point turn, it was like a 15-point turn. It was such a tight
It was
space.
like Austin Powers in the hallway,
It was
wasn't
basically,
it?
yeah. So and then he puts his lights on as he's doing this.
Waiting all morning to do
the
that.
reality is that you would expect that he would have been looking to his left, because that's where the traffic's going to come and hit him. And so he wouldn't have necessarily seen Simon. And Simon has no reason to do anything crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, the long and short of it is that once you work out there was something like 10 seconds plus about 4 seconds before the car got up to speed, that's about 14 to 16 seconds. And as you know, if you've been on a racetrack, you give somebody a 14 to 16 second
That's a big lead.
Yeah.
on the move,
Yep.
you've got Buckleys that are trying to catch up. So anyway, the speed then crept up. The police officer took off. Speed crept up, and unfortunately for us at that stage, then the in-car video dropped out for some reason. Mm-hmm. So we then had to switch to the body.
Does that happen often?
Not really, not often. And it's nothing sinister in it. It's just the technology, the way it works.
Because my mind went straight to
Yeah, I'm calling bullshit on that.
No,
okay,
it's
so
nothing.
It just
Sometimes it happens.
I'm going to take it all back now, Riff.
Sometimes it
Damn.
happens. But then when you looked at the body worn, yes, the officer had to go hard.
Yep.
But then he also hadn't seen Simon at all. Simon then goes right to go to the Watergan State Forest. Mm-hmm. The highway patrol officer overshoots because he thinks he's going in that direction.
There's another 15 seconds.
So there's another number of seconds by the time he backs up, and then he's got to fly down. Mm-hmm. So when we did all of the calculations, it just didn't seem right.
Math didn't add up.
No. And also the fact of the matter is that the allegations weren't consistent with how we saw the evidence. All right. So the next step was we went out to the site and I got a scientific expert to come out to the site with us. And we did all of our measurements and tests and everything else so that he could go away and work out with that kind of delay, what sort of speed would we have been doing? And where would we have got to had he been doing the speed that was alleged? So a brief of evidence obviously was prepared by the police, so that gives us more detail. And you look at all the statements and everything else. And then we get our expert to do what they need to do and have a look at all of that. And then it's really a matter, we were in court a number of times at Cessnock. And then it's a matter of, once you've got the essence of your case, is if you can get a decent prosecutor who might want to listen, and also often the police will listen. Mm. So when I first went into court, I spoke to the prosecutor. I said, look, this is what I think I've got. Mm. And, in fairness, they were receptive. Mm-hmm. But we had to put all of the evidence together in a scientific analysis to explain what the speed would have been, etc., etc. And again, in fairness to the Highway Patrol branch, they in turn looked at the evidence very carefully and were prepared to agree to things based on that. So if you can get everybody to be reasonable, you then have a better chance. So it's when I say before about we all have a job to do, and you don't take it personally, and it's not a war. That is the reason why you can sit and talk logically about the evidence. If you've all got your backs up, it's going to have to go before a magistrate. It's got to be heard before a court. And as I explain to people, you have no control when the matter's before the court. You're not going to know how a magistrate is going to hear a case and what they are going to perceive. So if you can actually get to a point where you can get the issues narrowed, you've got a much better chance because you control the narrative.
And so bottom line, talk us through how, did Simon go to court?
We didn't have to go to a hearing. Because eventually we agreed to a lesser speed and they withdrew everything else. And we weren't denying that we had been over the speed limit. Yeah. We were denying the fact that he was driving recklessly, that he was in any way trying to do a runner from a cop, or anything like that. I mean, the reality was we were just going for a little cruise, and that's the hard part. When all you're doing is just going for a ride, nothing out of the ordinary, to then find that all of a sudden you're looking at some serious things and potentially jail
And I've
time.
And you didn't expect it. Yeah.
No, and I've actually done that route home with Simon myself. So it is genuinely where we would ride.
Exactly.
What I actually want to point out in listening to you speak there is your investment in the case, because I hear you using words like we did this and I can see that you're actually representing your client in such a genuine way and getting context and getting fact and removing the emotion. It's really quite refreshing to hear.
The other thing is that you can empathise with your client. You can't be your client because then you're not going to be a good representative for them. So you've got to be objective. But you can empathise with them going through hell.
Yeah.
And especially in cases where, for example, you've got a manner dangerous cause death or GBH, not only are they going through that whole thing that somebody they were riding with is dead and having to put up with that, they're also going through the process of looking at potential jail time.
Yeah.
And consequently, yes, you've got to empathise. There is a disadvantage to that, and the disadvantage is before a case you don't get a hell of a lot of sleep. So before a serious case where someone's going to be sent off potentially to jail, you take it pretty
Yeah, I was
seriously.
going to say the toll on you.
It's
is quite
on you. Feel
significant.
it's on you. Yeah.
So I know when it first happened, Simon said to me, "Oh, this is likely to be serious." I'm like, "Really?" And it was clear to me that it blew into something bigger than it needed to be. And when Simon told me that, a lot of the allegations were dropped, it was like, and I saw high levels of appreciation from Simon then, which broadly we don't get from him anywhere any time really. So, we're appreciative that you've got Simon off. What advice would you have for someone when they get pulled over?
Well, look, it really depends, but the most important thing you can do is basically keep your mouth shut. You know, you have a right to.
For me.
You have a right to silence.
Yeah, you do.
Exercise it, because in the end you don't know the full facts. So I've had people who have ridden 18k from where they passed the cop, and the cop eventually pulls them 18k later. Now, this was down south near Bowral, and they have no idea what
They're
they've
just
been
having a
pulled.
good time.
They're just riding,
Yeah.
and they have no idea why they're being pulled over. So when the officer says, "Do you know why you're being pulled over?" Well, 18k's are gone. No. So the whole point is that you don't know what's been alleged.
Mm-hmm.
So listen to what they say. If you've got to say anything, find out where the police officer says the incident is meant to have taken place. Then if you have this presence of mind, depending on what you're alleged to have done, go to that location, take photographs, get the longitude and latitude of it. Because I've been, especially up in the snowy country, flown into Canberra, been picked up by the client, and we've spent all day driving around because we can't figure out where the event occurred. So if you can get as much information as you can at the site, that goes a long way to helping us.
Probably not relying on yourself for processing any of it, just collect the information,
Just
because your own
collect the
adrenaline
information.
would be so high.
Yeah, exactly. It's a matter of trying to keep calm. Don't feel compelled to say things. Now, there are instances where you will have to. So in criminal matters, you have an essential right to silence. You don't have to say anything. But in certain motor traffic matters, under various parts of the legislation, you can be asked to give a version of events. And so where that goes is that, let's say you have an accident, someone's injured, police rock up, they may ask you for a version of what happened. And you can't rely upon your right to silence. But all you have to give them is a version of what happened.
I crashed the bike.
Yeah. So I'm going along, and next thing I know, car came to my right. That was it.
Yeah.
Don't try and fill in the gaps.
Don't fill in the gaps. They can then give you a caution and ask you more questions, but those questions you do not have to answer.
Okay, that's an important bit.
That is, yeah.
So when you're thinking about it, you just have to give them a version of events. Now, if you have the time, don't do it on your own. Get a lawyer out there, because obviously what you say now can impact your case. So have a lawyer there and do it that way. You can say that, you want to have a lawyer present and you want to go you'll attend the station. And sometimes that's what happens. I'll get a call in the middle of the night. Someone's in trouble and, you'll try and work it out. That's the safest way to do it, because you don't know, as I said before, you don't know all the facts. And what you say, and the other thing is this, you are very likely to be in shock.
Yeah, I agree.
So can you be a reliable...
So can you be, straight up enough to think about what you're saying?
What actually happened?
You're in shock. 9 times out of 10, you don't know what's happened initially. I've had cases where people have bumped their head. They've been hit by a car, they're on a bike, hit the road, smack their head into the road. They have no idea what's going on.
So it's lovely to meet you.
Yeah, it's lovely to meet you too.
I know we've spoken on the phone a bit, and I've seen some of your work. You've kept Simon out of jail, and to be honest, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad.
I was going to say we're grateful, but then
but we're appreciative that you've looked after our mate. We like you. Would you talk to us again?
Definitely.
Because I reckon there's a story or two that come out. When you get on the police. Like a police Facebook page, and they go, "I've just booked this guy for 197 on a blah blah." We all love the juice of that. We share those. No, I reckon you've got a front row seat to some of those stories.
Look, you do, but I think the thing is that the other part is that, and I impress that upon people, is that not only keep your mouth shut, don't go onto social media and start saying things. I've had cases where I'm trying to negotiate something, and the officer will say, "No, I've just seen what your client said about me on Facebook."
Oops.
You go, and there is that desire now for people to put everything out there. And I have to tell clients all the time, and my kids laugh at me, because it'll be me saying, "Don't say anything, don't use Facebook, don't use emails, don't, blah, 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 stop sending messages." Because people don't realise. I've done criminal cases where they download all those messages.
What about this?
And they'll get everything. So that's
so be respectful, keep your mouth shut, talk to a lawyer.
That's going to be really hard for mate. 2 of those three things. Chris, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. If someone wanted to get hold of you, what's your website?
That's at you'll find that under Kalpage and Co. I can't tell you what the website is off the top of my head, but it'll be Kalpage and Co. But the easiest thing for people to do is call me.
All right.
They've got my mobile. I'm 24/7. Give me a call.
And look, we'll put it on the screen.
Give me a call.
And we'd love people to reach out if you're in trouble.
And it's kalpageandcosolicitors.com.au.
There we go.
There you go.
I've loved our chat. Thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure.
Ripper.
Yeah, fantastic.